Hey, we're going to get rolling in here this week. I know we had a lot of content out last week with 3 different webinars. As we have volatility in the market and as things change in here, we try to bring information to you. But we're back here again on our normal Tuesday to give you a few things that are getting our attention here in these markets in here right now. The one thing we want to show you here is this is a monthly cotton chart, and I know most of our producers are corn, beans, wheat, and cattle and hogs, but we also need to respect what's going on in here in the cotton market. And recently we traded above $100, and this is only the 3rd time in history that we've traded above $100. We did it back in 94, 95, and then also in the 2010-2011 marketing year. What we'd like to point out here, though, is that when a market catches some momentum, we can run much further than what many people would want to think. Now, the next chart in here is a crude oil chart, and we're bringing this one up today because just yesterday we had crude oil futures trade to their highest level since 2014, as it looked like it wants to break out in here above $80. That's the bottom red line going across the screen. If you're an inflation bull in here, this is the big bet, okay, on energy prices, specifically crude oil. We don't have a natural gas chart up, but we've highlighted that before, as that market has been pretty hot as well. When we get over to the ag markets, though, the ag markets that pertain to most of our producers, the one that's really trying to break out right now is KC wheat. As you can see, KC wheat traded above $7.50 a bushel and traded to its highest level since 2014 here to start off this week. Last week's stocks report and the lower production on hard red winter wheat has really given KC wheat support and is really the upside leader in the grain room. Looking at Minneapolis wheat, we need to recognize that was our previous upside leader. Now it's lagging behind KC, and the big question with Minneapolis wheat is there enough bullish news out there right now? Is there enough new demand that we can get above $9.50 and target that $10 level? Sitting here today, KC wheat has got to be the leader on the upside. Now, when we get over to the bean market, we wanted some positive ones early on. This is a market that has rolled down, and we've really rolled lower on the bean side of it in here on a combination of things. I mean, it looks like this crop's getting a little bit bigger. We had last week's stocks report that added bushels, and then our export pace is a little bit slower. And that's something we want to focus on right here as we look at our export sales. And these are our soybean sales on a year-to-date basis on what our totals are and what China bought. As you can see by the chart in front of us, that last year we had sold 1.229 million bushels as of this date. And of that total, 640 million bushels were bought by the Chinese. This year, on the other hand, though, we've only sold 853 million bushels of soybeans so far on a year-to-date basis, and China has taken 414 million. The difference is our total export sales are down 376 million bushels. Of that total, Chinese sales are down 226 million bushels. So not only in the bean market have we found a bigger crop in 2020, not only are we probably looking at a little better yields here in the U.S., the 2021 crop, but our demand is suffering as well. Those are not bullish signs on the bean complex. We don't want to be all doom and gloom on soybeans, but we need to respect a year ago, it was the upside price leader soybeans were. This year is completely different. And if we have a weak link out there in the grain room, we are fearful that it's over on the soybean side of it. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up in here today just on some final thoughts. Inflation is a big talk out there. I mean, whether if you're looking at gas prices or natural gas, you look at cotton running higher in here, people are talking about higher grocery bills. I mean, you have that inflation bet out there, and that is a main reason to be bullish this market, thinking it can carry the ag commodities. Okay, the other things we've got to focus on are the supply and demand fundamentals of this marketplace. A year ago, we had extremely strong demand, not only in soybeans, but corn as well, and the pork market, and that's what led to some demand-led rallies. This year, though, that is quite different, especially in soybeans, as we showed you, it's lag behind. Corn demand is similar, but we're seeing the pork market, our demand soften up there. Okay, the other thing to watch on demand is what world values are doing. We recently have got EU wheat futures making new contract highs, pushing are pulling the Chicago wheat market or the KC wheat market with that. Okay, will this lead to additional export demand for U.S. wheat? That needs to be closely monitored, because that could be a bullish market that way. As far as the supply side of the equation, I mean, everyone wants to debate the yield on next week's report. Our reports and what we're getting from producers, and we're changing a little bit in here right now, is we are hearing a lot better bean yields than what we did in the early part of harvest. So when you look at the USDA adjustment and what we're hearing from producers, we think this bean yield can jump up around 51 bushels an acre, or maybe getting a little bit bigger. On the corn side of it, you know, where we believe is that there's big corn yields out there in areas of the Corn Belt, and you're not having those complete crop disasters in very big areas. And so that tells us that this corn crop probably could get a little bit bigger as well. But the one thing over the last 3-4 weeks that has shifted for us a little bit is we're much more confident that this bean crop has got to grow in size. The other thing you got to keep in mind is we're going to be moving into South American weather and a huge impact on the market. It's reported this week that the Brazil crop is around 4% planted, and so the weather forecast in Brazil is going to be a focus. We'll be back here next week, and we got to encourage you guys to check out our YouTube channel and like that page or subscribe to the page, and so that you will get notifications when we update this. Any questions or comments, give us a call or drop us an email. Have a safe harvest. See you next week.